Good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to meet you all for the Success at CA exam organized by Board of Studies Academic ICAI. I'm your faculty CA Dimple Goyal, and I am here for giving you tips and just revising you some concept for paper intermediate paper 3A income tax law for May 2025 examination. Hello students, we have Abhi currently now some students with Manav, Prashant, Ridhi, Swati, and many more. So I'll just, first of all, I'll just set the participant. Please join through the Zoom meeting or some BoS mobile app to make this session more interactive. Whosoever is joining, seeing this session through the YouTube, please join it through the Zoom or BoS mobile app so that you can raise your query and take the benefit of this session to the maximum extent. So let me clear you students, this Success at CA exam is basically for May 2025 examination. For the students who are going to appear in the September 2025 examination, this is very much relevant for them also. Don't think that you are not appearing for the May 25, so this is not relevant for you. Same Finance Act, everything is applicable for September 25 examination. Only the difference will be regarding the stat update, the significant notification and circular. 6-month additional update will be relevant for September 2025 examination. Apart from that, the study material, the RTP, they can refer the earlier, this RTP May 25 RTP, Saransh, other publication. I will tell you what are the publication that is provided by the BoS for the students. So all these are very much applicable for September 25 examination also. Yes, Manav, regarding your section 35, I'll take up this doubt later on because this question is there in the RTP also. So this point I will clear it through the question which is given in the RTP. So now, first of all, students, it's very important to see what is the relevant Finance Act for May 25 or September 25 examination. So this I would like to clear that income tax law as amended by the Finance number 2 Act 2024 is relevant for May 25 and September 5 examination. Many students normally ask me, ma'am, this time this bill has been come, so whether this is applicable for May 25, that Finance Bill 2025 or the income tax bill 2025, is it going to be relevant for May 25 or September 25 examination? So no students, this Finance Bill 2025 or the Income Tax Bill 2025, the amendment which is proposed in that or the structure of this act, the proposed structure of Income Tax Act to be changes, that is not relevant for May 25, September 25 or January 26. These are not applicable. The amendment made by Finance number 2 Act 2024 is applicable for May 25, September 25 and January 26. So your relevant previous year is previous year 2024-25 and assessment year 25-26. Regarding the cutoff date, that notification and circular, since your exam is in May, so the cutoff date is 31st October 2024. So whosoever is appearing for May 25 examination, the cutoff date is 31st October 2024. It means the notification and circular which is issued up to 31st October 24 is relevant for May 2025, and for September, I already told you 28. That is notification and circular issued up to 28th February 2025. That will going to be relevant for September 2025 examination. So only the 6-month update is you need to be prepared or go through for September 25 examination. So ma'am, these are the amendments, but what are the publication through which how can we read the income tax? What are the publications that BoS is providing to the students from where we can read for this paper? So there are many publications, students, which BoS has issued for your understanding, for your practice, for your concept clarity. There are many publications. Many of you may not be aware that. That's why I'm just here to tell you these are the publication which is relevant for May 25 examination. First of all, the foremost important publication is your study material. because all your provision with the help of table, diagrams, flowcharts, everything is there in the study material. And the relevant edition for May 25 or September 25 or January 26 is October 2024 edition. Many students asking, ma'am, we have 2023 edition. Is it relevant for May 25? Students, because by way of Finance Number 2 Act 2024, there are many changes in the TDS rates. Capital gain has been completely revamped. So all this amendment is covered in October 2024 examination. So it's advice for May 25 and September 25, read your this paper from October 2024 edition and not from the earlier edition, because it's very difficult to cope up with the amendments to understand. You have the earlier material, you thought ki, theek hai, I will see the amendments and will implement the amendments in the question and everything. What happened generally? You went wrong at some places and you are not aware ki whether you have arrived the correct answer or not. Because you may have forget to put certain amendment in the question. So refer this October 2024 edition of the study material. Then we have a booklet on case scenario 2000 February 2025 editions. So in that there are case scenario based MCQ around 30 case scenario, 25 to 30 case scenarios are there, and from based on that case scenario MCQs are there. This is for your practice, so you have to do this case scenario booklet only after completing your study. Don't rush through to solve these MCQs earlier, because it will not serve your purpose. First do your study, revise, then only just move to the other publication which I am telling you right now. Then we have RTP for May 2025 examination. Then we have a Saransh January 2025 edition. That is for your revision purpose. When you have completed your study, then you can revise the concept through this Saransh on the before 1 day before the examination. You can refer the Saransh for just glance through ki what are the provision. But the Saransh is not completely, I will not tell you to completely go through the Saransh. It's just for a revision purpose. For understanding, please refer the study material only, not the Saransh or other publications. Manav, this MCQ booklet is already hosted on the website. I'll just show you where it is. Just a second. This is the ICAI website. When you go through the new scheme of education and training, you will get everything over this page as well as BoS knowledge portal. I will show you both ICAI website and BoS knowledge portal as well. So if you in this see, there's a study material, section wise weightage, skill wise weightage, RTP suggested, and one bullet is of case scenario booklet. Intermediate final self-paced, intermediate may you will get for every paper. Paper 1, paper 2, paper 3, income tax, section B, GST, then costing, then paper 6, FM, and paper 6B, strategic management. So these Riddhi, you are asking, ma'am, is there any study material uploaded in January 2025 for May 25 examination? Riddhi, if you are asking about study material, then it's a October 2024 edition. So in January 25, the study material edition is not there. Saransh ka edition is January 25. So if you're talking about study material, then January 25, maybe just check. It can be a reprint edition, but the main edition is October 2024. So I have shown you the case scenario booklet, then RTP you all know regarding the RTP. Then Saransh I told you, then model test paper. Maybe like if you are not aware of case scenario booklet, then definitely for I guess for model test paper also, which is February 2025 edition, you may not be aware for that. If I just go to the ICAI website again, when you go to the study material, intermediate course, your study material is there. If you see in the group wise model test papers are there. When you click the model test paper, 8 model test paper for each subject is there for your practice. See, for advanced accounting, 8 model test paper, then 8 model test paper, then 8 model test paper for advanced accounting, 8 model test paper, then 8 model test paper for advanced accounting, 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 8 model test paper for advanced acco 8 model test papers are there for corporate law, then income tax law, then GST, advanced accounting, then solution of answers of paper 1, paper 2, paper 3. 8 model test papers are there for your practice. So this is already hosted on the website. You can get this from the ICAI website or as well as from BoS knowledge portal. Both are on the, it is uploaded at the both places. So these are the relevant publications for May 2025, September 2025, and January 2026 edition. But for September and January, definitely you have to keep in mind the significant notification and circulars. Now this is the section-wise weightage. Section-wise weightage means this is your, you can say your paper pattern, or you can say ki how much marks will be, can be come from which chapter or which section. So if you see your whole syllabus, they are in the study material. If you see 9 chapters are there. So basically these are the 9 chapters. Basic concept, residential status, your heads of income, clubbing, set of deduction, advanced tax return filing, and the computation of total income and tax liability. If you see the hierarchy students, you will come to know that to compute the total income and tax liability for an individual, you have to follow this step which is mentioned in this sequence only. So when you do your study also, then you have to keep in mind that it's not like you can do ki theek hai ma'am, clubbing chapter is the very small one, so I'll do the clubbing first, then I will do the other chapters. Don't do it like this, students, because these chapters we have prepared in a logical sequence. So why? Because basic concept first, in the basic concept you understand what is tax, why it is levied, what is, who is assessee, who is a person, what is assessment year, previous year, when tax is leviable in the previous year or in the assessment year. Normally in the assessment year, but there are certain cases when it is it has to be paid in the previous year itself. So all these things, your agriculture income, your tax rate, surcharge, rebate, everything is covered in the basic concept. So it is your foundation, your fundamentals. So you can't skip that and jump to the another chapter. So first of all, just read through your study according to the sequence which is given in the study material. Then definitely for if you want to compute the total income, residential status is very much important because that only determines the scope of total income, whether some income is needs to be included or chargeable in the hands of the assessee or not. That you determine only on the basis of residential status. Then your 5 heads of income. Then if the person has, assessee has transferred some assets, so whether clubbing provision will be applicable or not. There is a minor child, so in whose hand that income will be chargeable to tax, that will be dealt at clubbing chapter. Then set off, in one hand, in one head of income you are having some profit or gain, and the some another head you are having some loss. Whether you can set it off or not, what are the conditions to be fulfilled for set off, then what are the conditions to carry forward that loss to the next year, and for how many years you can carry forward that loss. All things are there in this set of chapter. When you complete up to that point now, then you arrive GTI, gross total income. Then because tax is leviable on the total income, not on the gross total income, so you have to reduce the deductions. Deductions are covered in the deductions chapter. Then you will come to the total income. Then you have to apply the rates which you have already discussed in the first chapter, everything. Then there are many cases where tax has been already deducted in the form of TDS, TCS, and advanced tax. Then you have to adjust that from your tax liability to know your tax payable amount. So this is covered in the 7th chapter. Then return filing, when you have to file the return, who are the person who are mandatorily required to file the return of income. Loss return can you file, updated return, what are the situation in which you can file the earlier year's return. So all these things are covered in the return filing provision. So there is a logical sequence. So read your chapters, just go through your study in this sequence only. Manav is asking, ma'am, in the recent amendment, company tax rates are also changed. So ma'am, do we have to learn company tax rate also and cooperative society? Manav, company tax rate has not been changed. Only this is the same. Matlab, only the previous year has been changed. for this regarding the 400 crores which we are telling, it's the same. It was for the in the earlier years also, and now in the same year also. For foreign company also only, the corporate rate has been changed. Like it was 40% earlier, now it has 35% for foreign company only. Otherwise, for cooperative societies, the rates are same, and for companies also. Yeah, Manav, I told you that 35% is for foreign company. So otherwise, the rate is same for other companies and cooperative societies. So when we see the weightage, this your chapter 1 and chapter 2, that comprises of 10 to 20% of your weightage. It means your in your paper of 50 marks, you will get up to 6 to 8 marks question from these two chapters only. And otherwise also this chapter are very much important. So 6 to 8 marks you can score from these chapters only. This 6 to 8 marks question can be in the form of descriptive or in the MCQ or in the inbuilt in the case scenario based MCQ. Now your one of the most important is your heads of income. 14 to 18 marks. Your 14 to 18 marks question will be from this your heads of income. Then clubbing set of deduction, it comprises of your 15 to 20% weightage. It means 8 to 12 marks paper will be from these three chapters. Then from TDS and TDS, TCS and advanced tax and return filing, 8 to 12 marks paper. And for computation, it means your full-fledged question in which we have to compute the assess's total income and tax liability. There's a 15 marks question is there, which is your compulsory question only. Your first question normally it's for computation of total income and tax liability. It can be either asked to compute under the default tax regime or under the normal provisions of the act. We will discuss about it. What is the default tax regime? What is the normal provision of the act? We will discuss this in the later. So this is just a brief key how many marks question can be can come from which chapter. But for intermediate life, I will say for your paper, this paper income tax law, it is not so much relevant because otherwise also you have to study everything. You can't leave ki only, okay ma'am, basic concept and residential status, only 6 to 8 marks is there, so I'll just skip this topic. No, because residential status, I told you, is very much important to determine whether any income is in the scope of the assessee or not. And basic concept, all your rates, your foundation, your fundamentals is covered in this basic concept. So you can't skip any topic at the intermediate level for income tax law. Now we just see what is the pattern. As you all know, your paper is of 50 marks income tax law because 50 marks is for goods and services tax. In this 50 marks, your 50 marks, 30% is for case scenario based MCQ and the remaining 35% 35 marks, your 70% is for descriptive question. But please note that student ki whether your question is in the form of MCQ or in the form of descriptive, only the manner of presenting, the manner of answer is getting changed. Otherwise, nothing is changed because you have to use the same strategy to solve the MCQ which you are using for the descriptive question. Only thing is that in the descriptive, you have to be very careful to substantiate your answer, to give the reasoning and everything. But in the MCQ, you have to just take the answer whether out of the four options, which one is the correct or most appropriate answer. You don't need to provide your reasoning. There is no negative mark for the MCQ, no reasoning is required, and no choices, external choice or internal choice is there in the MCQ. You have to attempt each and every MCQ. So this MCQ is a game changer here because either you will, in the one MCQ, suppose of 2 marks, either you will get a 2 mark or you will get a 0. There is no option of you getting half or 1 mark or 1.5 marks. But in the descriptive, there's a step marking. So if suppose your total income or tax liability is not correct, but you have done the some adjustment correctly, so you will get the marks for that adjustments. But for MCQ, either full or 0. So be very careful for the MCQ. For this case scenario booklet, it's will be very helpful to you for practice the how to just apply the concept and provisions while solving the MCQ. What mistakes you can do while solving the MCQ. There is reasoning is also provided ki how you drive the correct answer. So through that also you can guess, oh, okay, I did this mistake or I forget to, take this provision into account. That will be very helpful to all of you. Now, as I already told you, 15 marks is for case scenario based MCQ question. Apart from that, there will be 4 questions. First question is of 15 marks, and out of 3 questions of 10 marks, you have to attempt any two. Then there will be an internal choice also. First is an external choice, that out of 3 you have to attempt any two. Then in 3 also you will have an internal choice. So this is your paper pattern. If you see earlier question paper also, then you will get the same pattern. Then what is the approach you should follow for self-study and attaining conceptual clarity? As I told you, student, key for this paper, there is a study material. You have to just go by the sequence in which your study material has been prepared. Firstly, just read your provision very carefully. Just understand this, understand the provision. There will be an example and illustration while just doing your study. Try to solve this example and illustration by your own. Don't just see the illustration and just drive the answer ki, okay, this is done and you got the right answer. Just do it by yourself. What happened, you will now then understand ki, okay, you missed some provision, or you, where is that clarity is missing ki how to apply that provision. Because if we see na something, okay, I know this is basically our mind works. When you have to do by your own na, without your study material open, then you have to do, then definitely there are certain points in the starting you miss to forget many provisions. Like if I'll say 87A, normally nowhere in the question it is written you have to give 87A regarding the surcharge, regarding the marginal leave, AMT, everything that is something which is not very clear. You have to just gather from the information that this can be impactful, this provision can be attracted also in this particular situation. So for that, you have to just practice more and more and more. When you do your study, your example, your illustration, then just move to the test of knowledge given after each chapters. So after that, case scenario booklet is there, your RTP is there. So you have to just follow the sequence which I told you for your self-study. Apart from that, live virtual classes is also there. Notes, faculties notes are already uploaded. Assignments are there. So if any provision is not clear to you, you can just refer that LVC, or you should also attend the LVC because it's a very beneficial for you to see that live virtual classes. For self-assessment, there's model test paper. That is, model test paper is exactly the question paper pattern. So you can assess your preparation through the model test paper, through the mock test paper. Already first series of mock test paper has been, I guess, done. So now we are on the second series, I guess, by the next week. So you can assess your preparation through the mock test and model test paper. But please, student, if you have not completed your study and not revise your study once, then don't try to sit for the model test paper or the mock test paper, because that is something which you should go in the end. So don't try to solve the mock test paper and model test paper earlier before completion your revision. So regarding the time management, 15 time is given to you for reading. So use that 15 time very carefully. Just see the question, because your first question is a compulsory. Anyhow, you have to do. Out of that 3 questions, you have to attempt any two. So in that 15 minutes, just read the question very carefully and just make a choice ki which question do you want to attend or which question do you want to left. So this 15 minutes is very important for you, but in 15 minutes, don't see the question and just be very excited ki yeah, I know this provision, or panic ki no, I don't know anything. When you just try to solve the question, many things you don't initially you don't know how to do, but by the time you are doing, the provisions gets in your mind ki this is has to be done like this. So don't be so panic or excited. Just be neutral while giving your exam. Go through all the questions quickly. Okay. For the question, because what happened na student, the first question is your compulsory question. Then in the other question, there are subparts. Normally what we see na ki student has, like in the second question, there are two parts. Student did the first part here in the first page and the second part somewhere in the last page. Don't do that. If you are sure of first part only, just do it there. Leave some space for the second part and then do your third or fourth question, whichever you want to do. It's not necessary that you have to attempt the question like 1 2 3 4. You can attempt second question first, then fourth question, then first question. There is no any compulsion. But for parts of one question, the complete parts of each question, that has to be done at one place. That is something which is very important and which you should know and which you should do it accordingly. ठीक है? While writing the descriptive question, students, please substantiate your answers, because reasoning is very much important. For any adjustment, you have done the correct adjustment. You have added back or less back, everything you have done corrected. But you have not substantiated, you have not given your reasoning that why you are adding back or why you are reducing. Then you will not get the marks for that. Reasoning is very, very, very much important. And for descriptive also, you just see the marks also, marks allocated to that question. Because if something you have to write, income tax is an application based or paper, so you have to apply the provision and concept. But in case some question is there to just write or define something, one or two question is there, then in that case you have to keep in mind the marks allocated to that question. Don't write ki I know this provision, so just writing all this. Don't waste your time. I told you to give more due emphasis on the provision, substantiate your answers, give your working note properly. Working note you can give in this, like in the first question, you can give in the main solution itself, or you can refer as a working note one or two after the main solution. You can do either way, but support your answer. Reasoning is very much important. If there is any assumptions you are taking, something in the question is not very much clear, you have to take the assumption, state your assumption very clearly. In the MCQ, definitely you can't write your assumption, whatever the assumption you are taking, but in the descriptive, you have a choice to write your assumption key on which assumption you are taking and why you are driving this answer. So this is the basic, students, regarding the approach, your preparation, everything. Now I'll just move to some technical thing that regarding the just revision, quick revision of the chapters. If up to that you have any doubt regarding your strategy, your material applicability or anything, you just let me know. Otherwise, then I'll move forward to the concepts chapter wise. And I will be asking the MCQs also or solving the descriptive question also. So that just see how you understood and how much study or revision you have done for your topics till now. Okay, I got a go ahead from Ridhi. What about others? Manav, Prashant, Prince. Students, I will now from the chapters onwards, I will ask from you. I will give an option to you to unmute yourself and just explain the provision and yeah, explain the students and just throw some light on the provisions. So you have to be participative, students. Then only it will be useful for you. So in the basic concept, okay. So in the basic concept, I guess you must have studied one time, so your provision and your study material. So till now you must be aware about the two regimes which you are having. First is your default tax regime and the second one is your normal provisions. Your optional, you can say, optional regime. So just who wants to tell me the slab rate for the default tax regime? Just raise your hand. Yes, Manav?
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning, Manav.
Ma'am, in default tax regime, we will have a slab rate of 0 to 3 lakhs nil, 3 lakh to 7 lakh 5%, 7 lakh to 10 lakh 10%, 10 lakh to 12 lakh 15%, 12 lakh to 15 lakh 12 lakh to 15 lakh 50%, 15 lakh and above 30%. Or we can say 0 to 15 lakh 1 lakh 40,000, and after that 15 lakhs we can do 30%.
Just to save your time, na? Yeah, very good, Manav. Just to save your time, it's very important to know the slab rate as well as the consolidated figure also. As Manav told, it's nil, then 5%, then 10%, then 15%, then 20%, and this 30%. So you should know if you are falling under, suppose this slab, you are falling under this slab, so you should know till 7 lakh there it will be 20,000 and you have to compute extra. If you are falling under this slab, you should know that it's a 50,000 and then you have to compute extra. If you are falling under this slab, then you should know it's a 80,000 and you have to compute extra. If you are falling under this slab, then you should know it's a 1,40,000 plus you have to compute extra over the above 15 lakh. So this is something, because each and every time if you are computing, then definitely it will going to waste your time. So this is something which you should know, and it should be on your tips. So this is the slab rate for default tax regime. Anyone just wants to tell that there are some conditions for the default tax regime. If you are under the default tax regime, certain deductions are not there, there's a restriction on setup of losses, there are certain deduction which is not allowable. So anyone wants to just give some of them key these are not available under default tax regime? Yeah, Manas has raised his hand. I'll just ask the other students if anyone wants to answer. Otherwise, Rakesh give HRA good, and other regarding chalo, firstly regarding the setup of losses. Is there any condition regarding the setup of losses? Rajkumar. Yes, Manav. Manav is telling income
Ma'am,
house property.
income from, yes, ma'am, income from house property, ma'am, we cannot neither carry forward it. Only if the profit is there in it.
Okay, just
Uh,
I'll just ask, suppose I have a two house property.
yes, ma'am.
In one house property, I'm getting profit of suppose 3 lakh, and in the another house property, I'm getting the loss of 4 lakh. Can I set it off?
Ma'am, to the extent of 3 lakh, you can set it off, and the 1 lakh, it cannot be carry forward, nor it can be set off against any other head to the extent of 2 lakh.
Under the default tax regime, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Under the normal provisions of the act?
If, ma'am, it is a normal provision of the act, then it can be carried forward up to 8 years, and it can be set off against other head to the extent of 2 lakhs.
Very good, Manav. And regarding the in house property also, there is some two kind of house properties are there. First one is the self-occupied, second one is the let out property. Is there any restriction regarding the interest or some deduction for the house property
Yes,
under
ma'am.
the regime?
Yes, ma'am. In the default tax regime, there is a restriction on interest of loan for the self-occupied property, that is nil. And for in the normal provision, there is a restriction to the interest of loan up to the extent of 2 lakh rupees. But if four conditions are not met, that is the loan is taken prior to 1999 and it is for reconstruction purpose or renovation purpose, then it will be restricted to 30,000.
Very good, Manav. So I can say that in the short key, if you are under the default tax regime, then you will never get a loss in case of a self-occupied property, because in the case of self-occupied property, there is only one reason of getting a loss, that is your interest deduction. Otherwise, municipal tax is not allowed. Your 30% deduction for NAV, that is not allowed. Only the interest deduction is allowed up to 30,000 or 2 lakh under normal provisions. So only because of that you can get a loss from self-occupied property. But if you are under the default tax regime, you can't claim the deduction for interest on loan in case of only self-occupied property. So in default tax regime, there cannot be a loss for the self-occupied property if the assessee is paying tax under default tax regime. But in case of let out, there is no condition. You can claim municipal taxes as you can claim in your normal provisions. You can claim 30% of NAV under both the regime, and you can claim interest deduction without any limit under the both the regime in case of let out property. Is it clear, students? Because it is very much important, because most of the students get confused under the house property under both the regime ki how to deal with that transaction under both the regime. Okay, chalo theek hai. Regarding the deduction, if I'll say deduction under chapter 6A, no deduction is allowable under default tax regime except, tell me student, except which are the deduction which is available under default tax regime also? Nilesh is saying salary. Salary is not deduction under chapter 6A. Matlab, what do you mean by salary here? Okay. Nilesh is telling about standard deduction of 75,000. This is something else, Nilesh. I'm asking about deduction under chapter 6A right now. Other students also participate in the chat box or through the raise your hand. So Nilesh is saying 80 double J double A, right? Manav is saying 80 CCD2, 80 CCH2. Yes, these are the deductions which are available under default tax regime also. Regarding Nilesh has rightly mentioned about the default tax regime. In the default tax regime, standard deduction from the salary, there's a standard deduction is allowable under section 16. That is up to 50,000. But in case of default tax regime, higher standard deduction under section 16 is allowable. That is up to 75,000. This was the amendment. So like this, there were two amendments also, Nilesh. Regarding the 75,000, you are right. Other thing also, this higher, something higher deduction from the normal provisions, there was some amendment for that also. Okay, don't worry, I'll tell you. Riddhi, which topic do you are asking to explain? About the deductions or about default tax regime? Within the default tax regime, what happened? This 115 BAC, this is your default tax regime. It means if assessee has not chosen the option to just shift out of this regime, he has to pay the tax under this regime. For this regime, there is a concessional slab rate, but there are certain conditions you have to fulfill for this regime. There are certain losses which are not allowed to be set off. There are certain deductions benefit you can't claim. Certain deduction benefit under chapter 6A also you can't claim. But there are some additional benefit also is given under default tax regime. It means if you are paying tax under default tax regime, some extra benefit you are also getting. There is some 2 or 3 deductions are there like that. So firstly, we have discussed the slab rate. Then we have discussed about the loss set off. One of the most important is regarding the house property, that the house property loss cannot be set off against any other head of income, or it cannot be carried forward to the subsequent year for set off. Regarding the set losses also, if any losses which you have arrived due to the deductions which are not permissible, that is also not allowed to be carried forward. Suppose additional depreciation you can't claim under default tax regime. So in the earlier year, suppose you have an unabsorbed additional depreciation, then you can't set it off also in this year, because that is due to the one of the condition which is not allowed under default tax regime. Okay, these were about the loss setup. Then I told about deduction under chapter 6A. And deduction under chapter 6A is not allowable under default tax regime except these three deductions. What are the deduction? You can claim the deduction under section 8000AA. It means that in case of new employees, the employee cost deduction, 30% of the employee cost. 80 CCD2. CCD2 means yeah, employer contribution to NPS, and 80 CCH2, it means yeah, employer contribution or government contribution to the Agnipath scheme. So these three deduction is still available under the default tax regime. It means these three deduction you can claim whether you are under default tax regime or under normal provisions of the act. Apart from this 80C, 80 CC, 80C, 80D, 80E, EEA, EEB, 80G, 80TTA, 80TTB, there are many other deductions also. Section 10 AA, 10 AA, all these deduction you can't claim under default tax regime. ठीक है? Then regarding the default tax regime, Nilesh has mentioned about the default tax regime, which I told you there are some extra benefit under the default tax regime. One of them is regarding the standard deduction from the salary income. If you have a salary income, suppose you have a salary income, so you are getting the gross salary, then you will get a deduction under the head salary under section 16. Under section 16, one of them is your standard deduction. Normally under the default, under the normal provisions of the act, this standard deduction is 50,000. So if you are paying tax under the optional design, then you will get a deduction of 50,000 from this. And then professional tax and entertainment allows deduction if you are fulfill that condition. But if you are paying tax under default tax regime, so this standard deduction, for that you will get the enhanced deduction up to 75,000. So it means extra 25,000 deductions you are getting in respect of your salary income if you are paying tax under default tax regime. Is it clear? Is it clear, students? ठीक है. Apart from that, two things are also there. I'll just tell you about that also regarding the first of all is regarding the 80 CCD2, which we have already mentioned ki 80 CCD you can claim you can claim under default tax regime also. What 80 CCD2 says? 80 CCD2 says that employer contribution. If your employer has contributed to the NPS, then you can claim the deduction for that. For that, the limit is 10% of salary. But if you are paying tax under default tax regime, then up to 14% of salary is allowed as deduction under section 80 CCD2, subject to the actual contribution to the NPS. Definitely it's there. For student, any exemption, any deduction, you have to keep in mind that the deduction, exemption, everything in one or two cases, otherwise then in every cases, subject to the amount you are getting or you are spending. Apart from that, you will get the deduction up to that limit only. Suppose I'll say 14% of salary is coming your 3 lakh and the employer has contributed only 2 lakh. So you will get the deduction of rupees 2 lakh up to the amount, the actual contribution, not because 14% of salary you are getting, so you can get 3 lakh. Obviously, it's up to 14%, up to 10%. So extra 4% of salary deduction is available under CCD2 in case the assessee is paying tax under default tax regime. Is it clear, student? Is it clear, student, about the 80 CCD2 extra 4%? Raj Singh, sound is very low, ma'am. Is anybody also feeling that sound is low? So I'll just tell the technical team to. Is it sound okay? Okay, Nilesh is saying sound is okay. Okay. Nilesh is asking about CCH. Nilesh, 80 CCH is similar to your NPS in that in the Agnipath scheme, the employee and the government has to contribute to the 80 Agnipath scheme. So for that deduction is available under section 80 CCH. It's a very specific because as you know, Agnipath scheme is not for the all employee. It is for the certain kinds of employee. So that is restricted to the that kind of employees only. So it's like as NPS only deduction. I'm talking about the deduction part. In the NPS, if the employee contribute whatever the amount he contribute to the NPS, he will get the deduction for that, and the employer contribution also in 80 CCD 1 and 2 respectively. In CCH, it is in respect of the contribution made in the Agnipath account. So if the whatever the amount employees is contributing for that 80 CCH, one will provide the deduction, and for the contribution made by the government for that 80 CCH 2, the deduction will be available for that. Pratik is asking, ma'am, I have doubt regarding the hours allocation for revision chapter wise and how much revision are necessary for exam to score more than 80. Definitely, Pratik, you have to revise everything. And regarding the hours allocation, it's a very subjective thing because it's up to you ki how you are conceptually certain provisions are clear to you. Suppose in the I'll just talk about the revision purpose. If you see in the heads of income, the computational performer is there for ki how to just solve the question. For if you suppose you are getting the salary question, then this is the performer that you have to arrive. You have to first see salary base allowances, then perquisite, and then everything. Then in the end, letters recapitulate is there where provisions have been explained in the summarized form. Then your saransh is there. But study material, when you do the revision, first revision you have to do the full. Then only just see the computation, the letters recapitulate and saransh. Regarding the allocation of hours for chapter wise, definitely more time you have to give to the your heads of income because it's a main thing. Your heads of income, your salary, house property, PGBP, capital gain, and other sources. Main thrust is on the heads of income, so definitely you have to spend more time on the heads of income. Residential status may you have a chart, a summarized crisp chart for the residential status. For that, students, actually it's about the revision, it's about the how you just keep in mind the provisions, the residential provisions. Like there are so many conditions, you have to make the notes. First of all, if I'll ask you the residential status now, there are basically two type of condition is there, 182 days and then 60 plus 365. Then you have to just ask yourself, okay, these are the two conditions. What are the condition in this case, in cases second condition is not applicable? What are the cases in which second condition is applicable, what but with a modification? So when you just so much in depth your provision and that's so much clear to you now, up to that level you have to do the revision. So definitely you have to make a strict plan for that, Pratik, ki which are your strong chapter, which are your more areas which you need to more focus. So you have to devote extra time to that. Suppose many, I'll just say many students tell that they found salary difficult because there are many limits are there for exemption and everything. So like this some students say regarding the PGBP because many provisions are there. So it's up to your area ki in which area you find ki yeah, this is something which normally I tend to do the mistake or I forget the provision. You have to give more time to that chapter or that topic. ठीक है students, so abhi we are discussing the default tax regime. So firstly we have discussed is regarding the standard deduction. Then we have discussed about the 80 CCD2. There's a one amendment is also there regarding the family pension. Anyone remember the amendment regarding the family pension? And if not, just tell me. Okay, Manav, remember? Firstly, just tell me under the normal provisions, matlab under the normal optional regime, what is the provision? Then I'll ask you about the amendment.
In normal provision, it is 1/3 of the family pension or 15,000 rupees. But in 115 BAC, subsection 1, clause A, it is 25,000 or 1/3 of the pension, whichever is low.
Very good, Manav. I got the answer from we also, 25,000. Very good, both of you. And I hope everybody or other also they remember. Maybe they are not, responding in the chat or raising a hand. But you should remember these three are the extra benefit which is given if the assessee is paying tax under default tax regime. Standard deduction, 25,000 extra, then 4% extra for 80 CCD2, and this 10,000 extra, or I say 1/3 or 25,000 for the family pension in case assessee under default tax regime. Apart from that, additional depreciation is not allowable. 35 AD you can't claim, 10 AA reduction under chapter 6A, your scientific research contribution. In that also there is a twist, students, that 35(1)(1). If you yourself is expended for the scientific research, then you will get the deduction for that. But if you are contributing for the scientific research to the association, institute or university for either scientific research or for statistical or social science, then you will not get the deduction. But if you are yourself is spending for the scientific research, then you will get the deduction under section 35(1)(1). So that is also something which is different between normal provisions and default tax regime. You all have to know what are the, first of all, you have to know what the question requirement is there, whether assessee is paying under default or normal provisions, and what are the exclusion, that exemption or deduction benefit you don't need to provide according to the regime. I hope for normal provisions of the normal provisions optional scheme, you can say, you are very much aware of the slab rate. I don't think so it is something I need to revise. 2,50,000 below if the assessee is below 60. If resident 60 to 80 years, then it's 3 lakh. And if it's above 60, resident plus and 60 above, then it's 5 lakh. Then it's a nil rate. Then subsequently it's a 5% up to 5 lakh. Then 5 to 10 it's 20%. Then above 10 it's 30%. One thing very much important, which is not applicable in case of default tax regime and which is applicable in normal provisions of the act, is AMT provisions. Habib, regarding the 1010D, you just be specific what is your doubt so that I'll just take up your doubt. Ki 80DD mein what is the exactly you want me to explain? Definitely I will explain your doubt. So AMT provision. Student, first tell me ki when AMT is applicable, what are the conditions for AMT to be apply? Tell me, Ridhi, Habib, Raj, what are the conditions for AMT to be applicable to an assessee? Very good, Manav. Yes, Sanya also. Both have given the different answer, but both are right. Rakesh, you are also right. Sanya, you also. And Manav, you also. Manav told about the deductions part. If the assessee is claiming deduction under section 10 AA, 35 AD, 80 QQB, QQ or RRB, 80 RRB, then AMT will come into picture. Then I got the answer from Sanya, which is also right. But one thing is there that where the adjusted total income exceeds rupees 20 lakh, then it will be applicable. So if first of all, if in the question students 10 AA, 35 AD or 80 QQB or RRB is there, it should come into strike your mind that you have to test the AMT provision, whether they are applicable or not. How will you determine that? You have to add these deductions, and in case of 35 AD, you have to provide the depreciation which has been not provided due to the deduction under section 35 AD. If that income, which is called adjusted total income, if that exceeds 20 lakh, then you have to apply the AMT, and the AMT rate is 18.5%. So you have to see whether under the normal provisions of the Act, tax liability is more, or under the AMT provision, the tax liability is more. Whichever is higher, assessee has to pay that as a tax. But if AMT is higher, then he can claim the AMT credit in the next subsequent year, 15 subsequent year. But if the normal tax as per normal provisions is higher, then he has to pay that higher amount. ठीक है, but when the assessee is paying tax under default tax regime, AMT provisions are not applicable. So whatever the tax liability he is arising from default tax regime, that is, it will be the full tax liability. You don't need to see about the AMT. So all these things are integrated. These provisions are integrated. So nowhere in the question it will be asked to check the AMT or to check this. You have to apply your mind. You have to see when this is coming, then I have to check this also. All these things are there inbuilt in the question. Is it clear about the AMT, students? I'll just brief you about the surcharge and rebate. Then I have one MCQ for all of you. In the default tax regime, the higher surcharge is, students, 25%. Where in the normal regime, the higher surcharge is 37%. What is the normally slab? It's 50 lakhs to 1 crore, 1 crore to 2 crore, 2 crore to 5 crore, and above 5 crore. In this case, it's common for both. It's 10%, it's 15%. Now it's 25% the normal, then it's 35%. What happened when the assessee is paying tax under default tax regime? This slab is merged. What is up above 2 crore? 25%. So it means 37%, sorry. So this 25% is the higher surcharge rate which is applicable in case of default tax regime. Okay, I'll just take this doubt because Manav is asking me to take this doubt. Manav, after this MCQ, if you this after surcharge and MCQ, then I'll definitely take your doubt regarding the section 35. ठीक है, this is the higher surcharge 25% in case of default tax regime. But in case of LTCG, which is taxable either under 112 or 112A, STCG 111A and dividend income, the maximum surcharge will be 15%. So this higher surcharge 25% and 37% is not applicable in case of these tax on these income. Rebate, I guess this should be clear to all of you regarding the debate. Maybe there are different limits under default tax regime under normal provisions. The threshold limit is 5 lakh under the normal provisions of the Act. Marginal relief is concept is not there under normal provisions of the Act, and the maximum rebate is 12,500. However, in the default tax regime, threshold is 7 lakh. It means if assess individual has a total income up to 7 lakh, then he is eligible for the rebate. Second condition is that the individual should be a resident. In both the cases, it is available to a resident individual only, not to the other, because slab rate is applicable to HUF, AOP, BOI also. But this rebate is available to the resident individual only. So the threshold is 7 lakh. Maximum rebate, it's 25,000. Ideally, if you see student, it should be 20,000 because at up to 7 lakh, then the tax under the slab rate will be 20,000. 3 to 7 lakh, it's 5% up to 20,000. But since there was no amendment in the Act after the slab rate has been changed, so still in the Act, it's 25,000. Marginal relief is available. Marginal relief means if your increase in total income is lesser than the increase in your tax liability, then you will get you are eligible for a relief from that. So you don't need to pay the extra tax when suppose your income is exceeding by 5,000, but your tax is increasing by 7,000. So you will get a benefit of 2,000. So you have to pay the tax up to the amount which is exceeding your total income. Manav has given the amount, it's 7,22,220. So up to that you have to check the rebate part. After that you don't need to see in the marginal relief conditions. So I guess after that I have an MCQ and I want all of you to participate in this MCQ. This MCQ is not so much difficult, but definitely don't be in a hurry to solve this MCQ. Have a patient and just I want everyone to give the correct answer for this. Okay, I'll just read through the MCQ. Just take your time to solve this MCQ because computation is there in this. Mr. Akash, a resident individual aged 45 years, had a total income of 4 crore 5 lakh. His income includes salary 1 crore 80 lakh, LTCG of rupees 60 lakh, which is taxable at the rate 20% under section 112. Then he has a LTCG income again of 112A of 45 lakh from a transfer which took place on 23rd December 2024. These dates for the capital gain specifically, students, capital gain and for TDS, the dates are very, very, very important. You have to remember the dates from which the amendments are applicable. It is important to see what is the implication of this date. He also earned short-term capital gain of 1 crore under 111A from a transfer which took place on 10 January 25, then interest of 20 lakh. You have to compute tax liability under normal provision because he has shifted out of the default tax regime. Try to solve this, students. Or if you are getting any different answer which is given as an option, then you can just tell me. I will give you a chance to tell me how you drive that answer and we will see what is the correct answer. What is the tax rate, student, for LTCG which is chargeable to tax under section 112A? Very good, Habib. On which amount? On amount? On whole 45 lakh or Yes, Swati, on amount which is exceeding 1,25,000. So it means now then what is the rate for STCG in this case? Yes, very good, 20%. So it's 1 crore into 20%. So for this two, I'm getting 581 to 500. Then this is 12 lakh. This is I'm getting 546,875. Then it's 20 lakh. Anyone who has solved the MCQ except Manav? I got the one answer from Manav. So this is now, since Manav has already given the answer, anybody just tell me the surcharge, because in this, because since the income, total income exceeds 51 crore, 2 crore, everything, so it's a 4 crore, 5 lakh. So just tell me the surcharge rate. What will be the surcharge rate? It will be different on salary and interest and LTCG. What will be the surcharge rate? 10%, 15%? Got an answer from Chania as well. So in this case, the surcharge rate will be 15% on all the taxes. Why? Because this salary and interest, the total income, other than this special LTCG and STCG, it's 2 crore. The higher surcharge of 25% told if the total income exceeds 2 crore. But in this case, it's exactly 2 crore. So it will fall under the 1 crore to 2 crore slab. So the rate will be 15%. And for other income, other capital gain tax also, the higher rate is 15%. So the surcharge, overall surcharge will be 15%. Then you have to apply cess. Then you will get the answer as C. Very good, students. So this is for the basic concept. Since Manav was asking about the 35 asset thing, so I'll just open the RTP. You all need to participate in that. Just okay, maybe you have not studied do the revision for that, but just be participate so that when you going to revise, then you can connect this topic over there. So I'm just opening the RTP. And you have if you have any other doubt in the RTP, then you can raise that doubt also. So this is the full-fledged question in which Manav has one doubt. So I'll just, for that particular adjustment only, I'll just give you the brief about the facts. Then we will see what will be the treatment of that. Ganesh is a ROR and he's of 60 years, 61 years. He has manufacturing business. Then his P&L details are given. In this, one thing is debited in the P&L, that is this loss on sale of asset of scientific research of 2 lakh. Okay. Then in the adjustment, the information is given that this asset was purchased for 6 lakh on 23rd July 2021 for conducting scientific research. It means this asset was purchased in 21 for scientific research. So definitely in 2021, the deduction would have been claimed for this 6 lakh rupees under section 35. Is it clear? Then this asset is now sold on 5th September 2024 for 4 lakh rupees. So definitely the 2 lakh which is coming there, that's a loss because 6 lakh ka you have purchased the asset, now you have sold for 4 lakh. So 2 lakh ka loss Ganesh has claimed in the P&L. ठीक है. Now we are talking about the adjustment. First student says tell me this whether this 2 lakh loss is allowed or I have to do something for this 2 lakh. I am just talking about this 2 lakh, then I will tell you the treatment. What will be the treatment in this case? For loss of any asset, something which is already P&L, then definitely it's not allowed. So you have to, because it's already debited, you have to add 2 lakh because it's not an allowable. Now we have to see regarding the provision. There is one provision deeming income under section 41. What it says, it's very complicated provision, but I'll just tell you in the crisp that if you have a scientific research, because you have the option, you have the scientific research business, and you claim you have suppose purchased some asset and you have used that asset for scientific research, so definitely you are claiming the deduction, you have claimed the deduction under section 35 for that asset. In the future year, two options can be there. Either you can use it for the other business purpose or you can sold it out. In this case the assessee has sold it out. So what will happen in that case under section 45, the deduction which you have claimed or the sale proceed, whichever is less is will be your deemed income under section 41. So in this case what will happen, you have purchased the asset for 6 lakh, so you have claimed the deduction for 6 lakh, or your sale proceed is 4 lakh, whichever is less is as your deemed income under section 41. So you have to add this to your while computing your PGBP income, and deemed income under section 41 is 4 lakh. I guess up to this part nobody has doubt, and it should be clear to you Manav also. I guess up to this part I guess it is clear. Or anybody has doubt up to this part? Because what the doubt is arising in the mind of students, that I'll tell you. Now the what the student has doubt कि ma'am what about the 2 lakh loss? ठीक है, you have this deemed income, you have claimed 4 lakh added back, okay, 2 lakh you have added back from the PGBP income, added in the PGBP income, that is true. But in the capital gain, because this 2 lakh loss has been arise to Mr. Ganesh, so it should be capital loss of 2 lakh, right Manav? Is it is the doubt? ठीक है. But if you see, how can you say there is a loss to Mr. Ganesh when you, if you go back in 2021, he has claimed the deduction for 6 lakh. Whatever his business income was there, you have reduced 6 lakh as a deduction. Now he has sold the asset for 4 lakh, you have added the 4 lakh as an income. So for the 2 lakh difference which you are talking about, Ganesh has already claimed the deduction in 2021 for that 2 lakh. So if you are giving the capital loss treatment in this year also as a capital gain loss, short term capital gain loss, then he will get the benefit two times. First at the time of deduction, then you are again giving him the benefit of short term capital loss. What I that is what I am telling na Manav. Manav, can you just you just 1 second? I'll just unmute you so that you can tell me what is your exact doubt, because
Ma'am, when earlier I saw this question, in the solution they calculated the capital gain, 8 lakh minus 6 lakh, 2 lakh loss. Then
okay,
ma'am I contacted the BOS portal, so they rectified it.
actually
And
what? Uh,
ma'am there was another doubt that ma'am usually when we transfer the asset 35 section 35 asset to a normal business, then usually its value come at 0. So ma'am,
Yes,
when we will calculate, ma'am, if we have to calculate the capital gain, we have to sell whole block, and then only, ma'am, capital gain will come.
you are very much right. First of all, I'll tell you about the income part. In the earlier RTP, that 8 lakh which the students are mentioning, or you have also mentioned, I correctly remember, then definitely there was a 8 lakh figure is nowhere in the question or in the act. There was some, I guess, some error in the capital gain, that 8 lakh is returned, that 6 lakh had been reduced, 2 lakh. So that was the error which for which corrigendum has been issued, and that error has been rectified.
Yes,
Second
ma'am.
thing, so Nilesh, you just refer the revised RTP and the corrigendum which is hosted on the website. Regarding the second thing which we are telling, Manav, that is very much correct. Ki when you are using that asset for other business purpose, suppose I have a two business. One business I have, one business I am having for scientific research, then I am having for other business. And I have used the asset here for which deduction I have claimed the deduction. Then I am transferring this business to other place. Then in that case, your WDV, your actual cost will be nil. So whatever the WDV of the block of asset, you have to add nil, and it will form a part of the block of asset, but definitely it will not add the value to the WDV of that block. Now then you will give the same treatment which is giving to the other asset. This is right. But in this case, what
Yes.
is happening? Instead of transferring to other business, you are directly selling it. So there is no question of block of asset in this case.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. Regarding the deduction part, why in this case, just understand the provision. Why in this case the actual cost is deemed as nil, because you have already claimed the deduction benefit. Then when you are moving to the same assessee, I am the same assessee, I have two different business, but when I am computing my tax liability, my two business are not separate entity, I am the entity for the income tax
Yes.
purpose. So my all the income from this scientific research business or from other business, that has to be combined. So there is
Yes.
no sense ki I am just add back the deduction here and then made the actual cost of that asset as and claim the depreciation over there. So for that, what the lawmaker has done, then if you have transferred to the your own other business, then you have since already claimed the deduction. Depreciation is something is the claiming the deduction over the period of time. But because you have already claimed, so your actual cost will be nil and it will form part of the block of asset. ठीक है,
Okay,
but
ma'am.
in
Now
this
clear.
you are selling it to some other person
Yes, ma'am.
at a lower value. So because you have already claimed the benefit of 6 lakh and you have sold for 4 lakh, so 2 lakh ka benefit still you have already claimed, and 4 lakh ka benefit we have given, but you have recovered it through the selling. So that's why we are again added back 4 lakh now, because you have recovered that amount which you have spent for the asset, and 2 lakh ka deduction that you have already claimed.
मैम बाय चांस अगर हम मैम लाइक एसेट जो था वो 4 लाख का था मैम, एसेट 4 लाख का था और हमको मिला 6 लाख, तो मैम लोअर होगा,
नहीं, हमको अगर
लोअर
आप
ऑफ।
कह रहे हो कि आपने हायर पे सेल किया होता,
यस मैम।
हायर पे सेल किया होता डेफिनेटली फिर आपका कैपिटल गेन अराइज होता।
तो फिर मैम वो जो 2 लाख था वो डायरेक्टली कैपिटल गेन में आ गया,
हाँ, वो कैपिटल गेन होता। जो 4 लाख है अप टू दैट अमाउंट दैट विल बी योर पीजीबीपी इनकम, क्योंकि आपने
ठीक है मैम।
पीजीबीपी से क्लेम करा था उसका डिडक्शन।
और मैम कॉस्ट ऑफ एक्विजिशन उसका भी नील ही रहेगा।
नहीं, कॉस्ट ऑफ एक्विजिशन का तो क्वेश्चन अराइज नहीं होगा ना मानव, बिकॉज यू आर ट्रांसफरिंग टू अदर पर्सन। आपका तो कॉस्ट ऑफ एक्विजिशन का क्वेश्चन ही अराइज नहीं होगा देन।
तो सिर्फ सेल प्रोसीड्स ही रहेगा।
अच्छा, वहां पे जब कैपिटल गेन की बात कर रहे हो आप,
यस मैम। यस मैम।
कैपिटल गेन की बात कर रहे हो तो ओनली द डिफरेंस अमाउंट विल बी टैक्सेबल एज
सिर्फ
कैपिटल
डिफरेंस अमाउंट। ओके
डिफरेंस।
मैम। ओके मैम। थैंक यू मैम।
So now just we just move to the residential status. For residential status, I want the volunteers to just brief the conditions. Then I will tell ask you the what are the exclusion, what are the exemption exceptions for that conditions, to just revise residential status in one go. So I'll just want not asking the every condition from one person. I want the volunteers to just say what are the basic condition, then I will ask from the different student ki what are the exceptions for that. So there are two basic conditions are there. I guess this basic condition any students can who have studied even one time also, then also he can give the answer to that. Ki what are the two conditions for being a resident? Fatavat student, just tell me what are the condition? Condition 1, condition 2. Rakesh, thoda sa just see your answer what you have given. If you want to modify, partly you have given correct and partly matlab, a little bit. Matlab, just see what mistake you have done. It's 365 days. Student, when the condition is there, na, it's a minimum criteria that you have to stay minimum for a 182 days. So it can be 182 days or more. So the first condition, as mentioned by Habib also, Sania, okay, so this is the two condition which is the basic condition. I guess everyone should aware of that. 182 days or more in the previous year, relevant previous year, 60 days and 365 days. Basically, is like that. 60 days for previous year and 365 for preceding four previous year. Okay. Is there any exceptions? Is there any exceptions or these two conditions are applicable to every SSC for to every individual? I'm telling to every individual these two conditions will be applicable. Yes, Manav. This first condition is applicable to every individual. So there is no exception for that. For second condition, there are some exceptions. What are the exceptions? First exception, anybody just tell me about the, yeah, Rakesh telling person leaving India for employment in foreign country. So is it this only Rakesh or in this also you are missing something? Ship also right, but is this complete exception or are we just missing out something? Manav, Rakesh, you have mentioned the condition very well. The Habib crew member of foreign going Indian ship. ठीक है. Sanya exception. Ridhi, yes. Yes, Ridhi.
Ma'am, can I explain?
Yeah, please.
Ma'am, when an individual citizen is going out of India for employment, one, and as a crew member of an Indian ship, and when an individual and citizen and person of Indian origin comes to India for visit,
Okay, one
that's it.
second.
हाँ जी एक और भी है.
ठीक है, once we talk about this condition also only, then I'll just move to the next condition.
Okay.
ठीक है. So first condition, like Manav, Rakesh, everybody told, yes, this is something very important. Now you have mentioning it. It's the conditions are applicable. This condition, if it is an Indian citizen or a person of Indian origin. ठीक है. But are you sure this is applicable to both Manav, Indian citizen, yes. matlab it means the individual is an Indian citizen and who is leaving India for the purpose of employment, or Indian citizen who is leaving India as a crew member of ship, then he will be a, this second condition would not be applicable. Is it right, student? Or Indian citizen or person of Indian origin? Is it right? In this case, student, you have to be very careful. This person of Indian origin is not for these two conditions. If you are not an Indian citizen, but you are a person of Indian origin and you are leaving for a employment purpose or as a crew member, then this exception benefit you will not get. For this exceptions benefit, you will have to be an Indian citizen. Person of Indian origin will not, if you are person of Indian origin, then you can't get the benefit of this exception. So what the exception is? First, individual should be an Indian citizen. Second, he should be leaving India for the purpose of employment. First one, again, Indian citizen or person leaving as a crew member of Indian ship. So in these two cases, this second condition would not apply, and the individual will be resident in India only and only if he is staying for 182 days or more in the relevant previous year. Is this clear? Because third exception, this is the which is the third exception, there are many tricks in that, many conditions is that there, many tricks are there, or many or the confusing condition is there, the third one. So if these two conditions are okay, then I'll just move to the third condition. I guess it's okay, it's for Indian citizen. Okay, students. Now the third condition. Now third condition which we are talking now, it's for both Indian citizen or POI. It means if the individual wants to be in this exception, then he has to be an Indian citizen or person of Indian origin. He is staying abroad and visiting India. Visit to India. ठीक है? Then if his total income excluding income from foreign source. Two things are there in these students. First is total income excluding income from foreign source exceeds 15 lakh. And the second situation can be it does not exceed 16 lakh. So if it exceeds 16 lakh, then what will happen? This, he has not done away with the second condition. This second condition will be modified. What will be the modification? Instead of this 60 days, it will be 120 days. It means either he has to be in India for 182 days or more, or 120 days or more in the relevant previous year, and 365 days or more in the immediately preceding 4 previous year. If any of the condition is satisfied, then he will be a resident in India. Is it clear, students? If in this case two conditions are satisfying, but the third condition, the income excluding income from foreign source does not exceed 15 lakh, in that case, students, the second condition will not be applicable and he will be a resident only if he stayed in 182 days or more in India. ठीक है? These are the main condition. Now we have a deemed resident concept. Deemed resident concept means you don't need to stay in India at all. Even if you are not staying in India for a single day, then still you can be a resident in India. How? If you are a person of Indian citizen. You are an Indian citizen. Here also again, person of Indian origin is not in this condition. If you are an Indian citizen, this your total income excluding income from foreign sources that should exceed 15 lakh. This is the second condition. It's the same. And you are in a country where you are not liable to pay tax. Then in this case, you will be deemed as a resident in India. So in that case, you will be a resident as a deemed resident and you will be an RNOR. In this case also, you will be resident and RNOR. For the other, you have to check the conditions of being ROR or RNOR. Is it clear, student? This residential, okay, Didi, because I have a MCQ that will be tested for you to whether you have understood the provision carefully or not. Scope of total income, I guess you all must be aware of that. Ki in case of ROR, everything is taxable, chargeable to tax in India. For RNOR, income deemed to accrue rise in India, deemed to accrue rise in India, received in India, deemed to received in India, or income deemed to accrue or rise outside India, but from a profession setup or business controlled in India. So that would be within the scope of RNOR. In case of non-resident, income received, deemed to be received, accrue or rise, deemed to accrue rise. These four are taxable, chargeable to tax in the hands of non-resident. Nilesh is asking up to 4 lakh or greater than 4 lakh. It's greater than 4 lakh, exceeding 15 lakh. Rakesh, in both the things, whether you are computing for, leaving, visiting to India concept, or you are for computing, seeing from deemed resident concept, in both the cases, total income, excluding income from foreign sources, has to be seen. That should be excluded. What the meaning of income from foreign sources? Income from foreign sources means that you have income which is accrue or rise outside India, but in this case you have to include the income which is from business control or profession set up in India. That has to be included, although it is accrue or rise outside India, but for computing this you have to take into consideration. Okay, I have an MCQ for that, from which this concept will be clear to you very, very well. So I want you all to participate in that MCQ. Mr. Sushant is a person of Indian origin. He is residing in Canada. During this year, he visited India for 129 days. Then in the earlier 4 years, he has visited for 135, 115, 95, 125 days. So if I'll see, he for the last 4 years, he has visited for once 470 days. ठीक है. Then his source of income is income deemed to received or deemed to receive 2,50,000, accrue arising in India 375, accrue arise outside India from business controlled from India 550, outside India from business controlled outside India 650. So what will be his residential status? I'll just give the facts in this slide itself so that it will be easy for you. He is a person of Indian origin. Okay. In the 4 previous years, his stay is 470, and the current previous year 24-25, it's 129. Okay. So these are the facts. So just tell me, will he be resident in India for this year, or non-resident, or RNOR, or something? Nilesh is saying RNOR. I'll ask you, Nilesh, how are you saying RNOR? Just tell me what are the conditions you are checking. First of all, we have to understand, student, when the person is visiting India, first of all, you have to check whether he is an Indian citizen and a person of Indian origin or not. Because if he is, then only you have to see the other condition. Otherwise, the end of that condition thing. So in this case, yes, he is a person of Indian origin. So we have to move on further. The second important thing, he is visiting India. Yes, he is visiting India. Before coming to the days, now third important thing is his total income excluding income from foreign sources, whether it exceeds 15 lakh or not. Because if exceeds, then you have to see the different condition. If not, then you have to see the different condition. So that's the third thing which is very important. So what we have to compute first? Total income other than income from foreign sources. ठीक है? So whether I have to include this 2,50,000 in that total income? Yes, because it's received and deemed to received in India, so definitely it will form part of the total income. Income accrued or deemed to accrue in India? Yes, definitely it will form part of the total income while computing the residential status. The third one is, I'm talking about this 650 first. Outside India, income accrued received outside India from business controlled outside India. It means everything is outside India, so definitely it will not form part of total income. Then income accrued or received outside India from business controlled from India. This is the main thing, whether I have to include this, yes or no? Yes. Because while computing this total income for 15 lakh purpose, I have to include the income which actually accrues in India, outside India, but from a business which is controlled or profession set up in India. So this has to be included. So if I see this three income, then it will come to 11 lakh 75,000, which is less than 15 lakh. So if it is less than 15 lakh, then only the first condition, 182 days or more, that would be applicable to Sushant. The second condition, 60 plus 365 or 120 plus 365, that would not be applicable to him because his total income other than income from foreign source does not exceed 15 lakh. So he will be a non-resident straight. ठीक है? Now again we have to see the concept of scope of total income for the non-resident, which is are the income which is chargeable to tax in the hands of non-resident, deemed to received, accrued in India, ठीक है? But this business controlled wali income, that is within the scope of RNOR or ROR definitely, but not within the scope of non-resident. So now while I'm computing the total income, actual total income, that will not form part of the total income. And this outside India, definitely it will not also. So what will be the total income of Mr. Sushant? That would be this both income 6,25,000. Is it clear? Yes. So he will be a non-resident and his total income will be 6,25,000. Any doubt, student? So students, residential status, we all know why it's so important because of scope of total income. There's many other benefit also which is available to the resident only, not to the non-resident. So anybody can tell me just 2 or 3 benefit which is available to resident but not to the non-resident. There are many more, but just start with 2 or 3. Very good, Rakesh. One is rebate. Rebate under section 87A is available to the resident individual only. The individual should be a resident, then only he can claim the rebate benefit. Nilesh, deduction, which deduction you are talking about? Deductions you mentioned, not for all the deduction you need not to be a resident. There are certain deduction. Yes, Sania, TTB, in case of 80 TTB, the higher deduction of for 50,000 in respect of interest from saving and FD also, that is available to a resident individual. You should be a senior citizen, but senior citizen के लिए भी you have to be a resident. Then QQB के लिए भी you have to be resident, right? From this Sanya 80 TTB, for being a senior citizen, when you are under the normal tax regime, the higher basic exemption limit of 3 lakh and 5 lakh is available to a senior citizen. Senior citizen means a resident 60 or above, or a resident 60 to 80, or a resident 80 above. So for that also you have to be resident, otherwise you will not get the highest slab rate benefit. Apart from that, this higher basic exemption limit, for that rebate, TTB, presumptive also. If you are opting paying tax under presumptive taxation under 44 AD and ADA, for that also the assessee should be a resident. Then 80D के लिए the mediclaim for higher limit of 50,000, that is available to a resident only. So that for that also unexhausted basic exemption limit का benefit that is available to individual HUF only to a resident individual in HUF. That is also there. So for that, if you see, remember the capital gain, there is amendment in the capital gain about the indexation. Ki if the assessee is a resident individual and he is acquired the land and building before 23rd July 24 and selling after 23rd July 24, then only he will get the benefit of indexation. It's the optional benefit. For that also the assessee needs to be a resident. So these are the certain things. For that also residential status is very, very important. So with this, students, we have completely just recap our basic concept and residential status. I hope in these basically in this fundamentals, because these are very important things, basic concept and residential status. So I hope there is no doubt in these two topics. If anyone has any doubt regarding these two topics, just let me know, because for the further topic we will cover in the next session, which will be we will be having in the next month. So if you have any doubt, yes, Nilesh? Yes, Nilesh, what is your doubt? Because in the next session, I'll be starting with the heads of income, because already we have basic concept and residential status we have already covered. So I will take up the heads of income, because that is very, very much important. I will take your doubt for the heads of income, and we'll see the pro forma and some adjustment which is normally come, and how to solve the adjustments. Yes, Nilesh?
गुड आफ्टरनून मैम, इसमें पर्सन ऑफ इंडियन ओरिजिन ओनली में मैम मैम एक पर्सन ऑफ इंडियन सिटीजन में मैम ओनली, तो उसमें मैम 15 लाख की जो ग्रेटर देन 15 लाख की इनकम चेक करेंगे?
नहीं,
जो भी आपने क्वेश्चन लगाया था ओनली इंडियन ओरिजिन में।
नहीं, देखिए दो चीज,
इंडियन सिटीजन में, सॉरी
नहीं, दो चीजें हैं। एक कंडीशन है आपका जो विजिटिंग इंडिया है, विजिट टू इंडिया, ठीक है। अगर आप इसमें चेक कर रहे हैं तो बोथ थिंग्स आर both assessee, whether it's an Indian citizen or person of Indian origin, both are covered under these exceptions, ठीक है। But when you are checking under deemed resident 61A, when the assessee is residing in a country in which he is not liable to pay tax, वहां पे resident deemed resident बनने के लिए the person should be an Indian citizen, वहां पर POI नहीं है, ठीक है। So if you are checking the conditions here, अगर इंडियन सिटीजन है या POI है, देन यू हैव टू सी द 15 लाख लिमिट। बट यहाँ पर अगर 15 लाख चेक कर रहे हैं तो उसके लिए इंडियन सिटीजन के केस में ही चेक होगी। POI अगर होगा तो ही इज नॉट, कैन नॉट बी अ डीम्ड रेजिडेंट, तो आपको 15 लाख चेक करने की भी जरूरत नहीं है।
ओके मैम।
पर यहाँ पे जो सुशांत था वो विजिट टू इंडिया का केस था, तो इसलिए हम यहाँ पे फॉल करें और यहाँ पर दोनों के लिए द एक्सेप्शन इज एप्लीकेबल, दैट्स व्हाई वी चेक द 15 लाख।
वही सेम क्वेश्चन में मैम अगर इंडियन सिटीजन होता तो लिमिट चेक ना करते हैं
नहीं, इंडियन,
15 लाख।
नो 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 नो, Suppose this question में Mr. Sushant is an Indian citizen. I'll just write as Indian citizen. Then what you are saying कि we will not check the 15 lakh limit.
Yes, ma'am.
No, Sushant. No, 1 second. Nilesh, what is happening here? If the person is Indian citizen or the person of Indian origin, ठीक है? He is staying abroad and he is coming to India. ठीक है?
Yes, ma'am.
Then he will fall under the exception. What are the
Okay.
other conditions for exception? Ki we have to see his total income, excluding income from foreign sources, which whether it exceeds 15 lakh or not. If it exceeds 15 lakh, then modified condition 120 days plus 365 will be applicable to him. If he does not fulfill this 15 lakh condition, then only 182 days wali condition will be applicable to him. So in both
Yes.
the cases, whether he is an Indian citizen or person of Indian origin, for both this exception is relevant. Suppose Mr. Sushant, I'll say, not a person of Indian origin or Canadian citizen. He is a Canadian citizen and not a person of, not a POI. Then what will you do in this situation?
सिंपल मैम बेसिक कंडीशन से चेक करेंगे, फर्स्ट कंडीशन से ही।
बिकॉज एक्सेप्शन के लिए दोनों में से एक होना बहुत जरूरी है, इंडियन सिटीजन एंड पीओआई। अगर नहीं है तो आप सीधा 182 डेज और 60 प्लस 365 चेक करो, खत्म। बट अगर वहां पर है तो आपको 15 लाख चेक करना पड़ेगा, ठीक है?
ओके
अब इस
ओके
क्वेश्चन में अगर मैं कहूँ सुशांत ये सारा छोड़ दो, अब मैं ये कह रही हूँ इसी क्वेश्चन में, ठीक है, इसी में सेम क्वेश्चन रिसाइडिंग इन, सपोज करो कंट्री एक्स और दुबई, वट एवर यू कैन से, कंट्री एक्स, जहां पे नॉट लाइबल टू टैक्स। अब
तो मैम सही सेम ही होएगा।
सेम नहीं आएगा क्योंकि ही इज अ पर्सन ऑफ इंडियन
15
ओरिजिन।
लाख तो 15 लाख वाली चेक करेंगे।
नहीं चेक करेंगे,
अच्छा ठीक है।
क्योंकि देखो दो चीजें, आप कौन से सेक्शन में चेक कर रहे हो, यू हैव टू सी फर्स्ट। अभी यहाँ पर अगर आप विजिट वाली इंडिया चेक कर रहे हो, यहाँ पर भी देखो दो चीजें हैं, अगर आप या तो सेक्शन 6(1) में देख रहे हो या 6(1)A में देख रहे हो। पहले 6(1) में चेक करते हैं, तो 6(1) में नॉन रेजिडेंट बनता है कोई इंडिविजुअल, तो हम 6(1)A में जाते हैं, हम उल्टा नहीं जाएंगे, ठीक है? अगर वो विजिट इंडिया वाला केस है तो डेफिनेटली आप पूरे देखोगे कि भैया कौन सी 15 लाख में कर रहा है नहीं कर रहा है, एवरीथिंग। अगर यहाँ नॉन रेजिडेंट बन गया तो आप ये चेक करोगे कि नॉट लाइबल टू टैक्स है या नहीं है। बट यहाँ पर अगर एनआर बिकॉज 15 लाख से अबव नहीं हो रहा था, तो डेफिनेटली यहाँ पर भी 15 लाख से अबव नहीं होगा, क्योंकि 15 लाख चेक करने का तरीका दोनों में सेम ही है।
ठीक है मैम, मेरे को 6(1) और 6(1)A वैसे भी पता नहीं है सेक्शन वाइज।
तो आप जब नेक्स्ट आपका ये सेशंस होगा ना, उससे पहले ये दो और हेड्स ऑफ इनकम, आई एम जस्ट टेलिंग टू ऑल द स्टूडेंट्स दिस टू एंड द हेड्स ऑफ इनकम, जस्ट हेड्स ऑफ इनकम, just do your study and revision. I will take a heads of income, and if any doubt which is in basic concept and residential status, I will take the doubt in that next session.
ओके
So okay student, with this I guess it's time to close this session. I'll be meeting with you in the next session, which is after your second series of MTP. I'm again telling you that just practice, just study well, just take the revision. There are so many materials available for the revision. Then your MTP are there, RTPs are there. Riddhi, next session के लिए after the MTP second series, this session success at C exam will be there. For that, you just check the BoS knowledge portal. As you see, for this time also, for this intermediate now, this sessions, the complete schedule of all the subjects is hosted on the BoS knowledge portal. Same for the second series. After the second series of MTP, the schedule will be hosted for the success at CA exam at the BoS knowledge portal. So just regularly visit your website, your ICAI website, your BoS knowledge portal to just update regularly for that. Till the time, just do your study well, do your revision well, and whatever the doubt you are having, just don't hesitate and ask your doubt, because we are here to just help you. So if you have any doubt, please be free and ask. If one time, two times, three times, if you are not getting clarity, then just ask your doubt. So for the next session, just be prepared, because it will be more useful if you have already studied and prepared well. I am just telling, if you are not linking with that provision because you have not understood the provision, then definitely when after the session you are going to understand, and then or you have any doubts and you can't ask. So it's better before that session, just be prepared whatever is going to be I'm going to teach for heads of income in that session. So all the best, students. So with this, we just close this session.